Magic Makers. I'm Mom Birella.
And I'm CJ Peterson. Welcome to Magic Making Mischief. Get your wands to the ready because we have some fun prepared for you today. Get your wands to the ready, and we solemnly swear we're up to no good. We're slightly out of sync because we haven't been live for a little bit. But
yes.
Today
we have a little bit of a storm going on, so my internet's a little glitchy. I apologize.
Oh, yeah. So that's true. So
So today we have very special guests. We have James Rivera, aka Vampiro, from Houston's own metal legends of Helstar, as well as his newer endeavor, which is James Rivera's Metal Wave, which is one of my favorites actually, and so many more actually that he's done.
Works hard, says hi, like no one.
It's so good to have you this morning. Thank you for joining us, James. We appreciate it.
It's usually not vampire time, but it's okay. Yeah.
Thank you for rising early from your coffin for us.
It's not feeding time, so there's no fangs today. That's only when I feed. Yeah. Yeah, funny because so many people are used to that, and they just think that I'm asleep with the damn things in. I don't know, but I don't eat with them or anything, and but when you think about it, I say, well, wait a minute, you look at all the Dracula movies. His fangs were never always there. They were only there when he was ready to feed, and then he physically his features would change too, all the way around. So he'd look more like a monster. But during his normal time, when he was being that lovely host so that he could trick you into that he was a really nice guy, he was normal, And I said, he didn't have the fangs 24/7. And they're like, oh, I never thought of that. I said, go look at any Dracula movie. When he is his normal self and he's that wonderful host guy that he's sucking people in to his lair and his evilness, he's normal. He just has a suit on. He looks sharp. Kind of looks like James Bond.
He wouldn't be able to lure him in if he looked evil.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So you see, he didn't always have the fangs. So I think that would freak anybody out right out the gate. Like, okay, what's up with this guy and his teeth?
Right. They look like Nicolas Cage in Renfield.
Yeah. If he looked like that all the time, he'd never have any friends.
Oh my gosh.
So you have two bands? Is that my understanding?
What's that?
You have two bands?
Well, I have several, and it's very confusing because a lot of the bands are tribute acts, which she mentioned that James Rivera's Metal Wave it started out to be a tribute, but because it's so unique, on what I did was all I wanted to do was something different from the metal tributes, because I've had plenty of those. I'm in a Black Sabbath tribute now that's playing at the Terror Fest, and I've had my fair share of 30 plus years in metal tribute bands, aside of being in Helstar, or if it wasn't Helstar, it was always in other original projects that were touring and putting records out. And go down the list of those bands, it's insane. But Destiny's In, Seven Witches, Killing Machine, Malice, Flotsam and Jetsam, Vicious Rumors. I've been several international acts besides Helstar, but now Helstar is the only international act. But I shouldn't say that, because what happened with Metal Wave is it got signed, and the reason why I did something different was, like I said, I wanted to step away from the metal tributes, because there's plenty of them in Houston and they're all good, but after a while it's just too many. So I decided to take 80s new wave and do it in metal version. And because it was so unique, the record company just got whipped it out and said, "Wow, this is interesting," and that's how it ended up getting a record deal.
Nice.
Yeah. It's so really, in a sense, it's almost like looking at an original band, because our versions are so different, but yet they're not. All we did was we made the music metal. So it's like hearing Judas Priest or Iron Maiden or Black Sabbath doing The Cure and Depeche Mode, but we concentrated on keeping the vocal melodies exactly like they were back in the day. Of course, I have more range than those guys do, and I have to sing it that way, but that's the only difference. So at least the 80s new wavers that weren't into metal, if they come to see a metal wave show, they can still sing along to the songs just like they did before.
Yeah. Last time I saw y'all, somebody says, "Oh, you knew every word." I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's 80s music, you know." It's like, of course. Actually, I love how you have your own sound to it with metal wave. It's got like you take these classic 80s new wave songs and just kind of like make it your own in a lot of ways. You know, it's like I love that. It's so much fun.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's kind of more of a, I'd say it's goth metal. That's what it is, because it's very
I can see
gothic still. It's very dark, very dark. It's because of that, the organ, you know, and I wanted that. I wanted it to be, well, wanted to be Dracula-ish.
So
Gotta
you're
love
kind of transforming 80 songs into metal, Dracula, goth.
Dark, yeah, dark wave metal is
Got
what technical term for it. Dark wave metal. It's what they
Dark
call
wave
it.
metal. Got
Yeah.
it. So how long have you been doing this?
Well, this project started during the pandemic. So really, like I said, I was bored out of my mind. You know, we were all trapped at home, drinking our lives away. And I just thought, you know, I got creative, and that's when I started thinking about, you know, what can I do that's going to be different from all these other metal tribute bands? And
Mhm.
it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I always loved new wave and dark wave and any of that stuff. And it's probably really more my favorite music than metal. I know that some people want to slap me, you know, when they hear that, but you know, think about it. Think about it. I've been doing metal for 40 plus years,
Mhm.
and it's kind of like the painter. He's got the ugliest house on the block, because what does he do all day? He paints other houses. So he doesn't even put a brush to his house, you know. So it's kind of got that way with me with metal. I lived it and breathed it and done it so many years that this is a way for me to listen to something different and keeps me sane, I guess is the right way to put it. And it's always been my passion. So it was an easy choice. It was like, you know what? No one's ever done this. And it stuck.
Nice. Well, I know that this weekend is Terror Fest. So I know Mombi and Yukita are going to Terror Fest. So you mentioned, are you going to be there as well?
Yeah.
They just made the announcement actually, and James is going to be one of the judges for the Battle of Bands, as well as after the Battle of Bands, there's a special treat, correct?
Right. Yep. So we're the Black Sabbath band Supernaut is doing a special performance after the Battle of the Bands.
Nice.
So,
That's
well,
awesome.
it's only two bands now, so and that's going to be a very I almost wanted to talk to Chris about that and say, hey, we probably need to add one more of the members from Supernaut as a judge, maybe make me more of the host of it, because there's a conflict of interest when you personally know each band.
Yeah.
And that's going to be like, once someone's going to go home and it's that like old song, like someone's going to cry when they learn they lost you. Someone's going to thank the stars above. So yeah, someone's going to cry at the end of the night, and someone's going to go home happy. And I'm going to be the one that's going to be the one
Aw.
that's going to make that decision, you know. And I feel like,
That's hard because like I've seen you at some of these and you're just like, man, they're all so good because you see you can it's like you can obviously appreciate, you can tell the talent that they have behind it because they've worked so hard on it, and you understand that and you can see that in your response to them. And I think that's awesome.
and that's the part that's making it hard, is not only just because they're personal friends, is because personally stepping outside of the realm of friendship, they are both very good bands. And so yeah, it's going to be a tough one, you know, but I just have to do what I got to do, you know. I was going to say, hey, they decided it, not me. I'm just the host here now.
Yeah.
Now
So
I'll go
you're,
through
sorry, go ahead.
I'll go through with, you know, being a big part of the judge. I will throw my 2 cents in it, but I would like three other people to really be the ones to decide, and then they'll ask me what I think, and then at least kind of keeps me more a little bit out of it, sort of.
Got it. So now you're local to Houston, right?
Yes.
Okay. So are you touring at all?
No, not right now. I got shows left and right, like you know, San Antonio is coming up, Austin. Um, uh, let's see, well, actually, the first show coming up, well, Saturday. That's Conroe, but that's really not considered out of town to me. But
Yeah.
the first out of town after that is in Mercedes, Texas, which is by McAllen. It's down in the Rio Grande Valley, so it's by the border of Mexico. And that's a huge festival where I'm co-headlining that with my other act called James Rivera's Metal Asylum. So you see, there's several bands.
I've lost count of how many you do at this point. Like you must, you have your hands full.
Yeah. So James Rivera's Metal Asylum is a tribute to myself. And this guy in Holland was the one that gave me the idea 20 years ago. And he says, I love your Sabbath, Judas Sabbath, and I know you're always in these metal. He goes, have you ever thought of doing a tribute to yourself? And I said, what? He goes, well, look at all the fabulous bands you've been in. And, I mean, I would love to see something like that. And then I came home and ran with the idea. So
Nice.
yeah, I do everything from every band that I've ever recorded with.
Really? So you cover like Destiny's End, Seven Sisters,
Destiny's End, Helstar, Seven Witches, Flotsam and Jetsam, Kill the Machine, and so
that's
on and so
cool.
on. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
That is neat.
Yeah. So other than that, that's where I'm playing next, and then San Antonio, and then Austin. Then we go to Mexico City for this gigantic festival, Queen's Right, Judas Priest. It's insane. It's big, and we're on that. And that's pretty much the highlights of the year, I guess, for the rest of the year. The European tour is already being put together as I speak now.
Nice.
Yeah, we finally got invited to go co-headline a big festival in France.
Nice.
There you
That's
go.
awesome.
Yeah, with Europe, I've been Europe, been there, done that. Okay, and I know that to some people they're like, you make it sound like it's no big deal. I go, well, it isn't after 30
That's
years.
awesome.
Yeah. Going Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, Slovenia again,
And
yes.
you went to Poland for the first time this last time, right?
Poland for the last time. Yeah, for the
That's
first time.
awesome. That's where my family comes from. So
Yeah, you were telling me that. And so for some weird reason, France, although it was a very big part of Europe, and it just never was the country that liked our style of music. So because metal, there's so many genres of metal, and we're considered classic US power thrash metal, which is that's what they call us. Yeah, exactly. And
okay.
France, typically they're really more into black metal and this other style of music called prog metal, which is very, well, the word is there, it's progressive. It's very progressive with a lot of keyboards and a lot of over the top operatic singing that gets a little boring to me. But that's what they're into, and black metal. But somehow or another, this festival decided they want us, and they want us as a co-headliner. But I think after this last European tour, we really put a stamp on the world again. And and then we're going to Portugal. We've never been there, so I'm going like, wow, so this is getting interesting now. Because and don't take me wrong, my Germans and my Dutch people and my Slovenians and my Belgians and my Austrians, and I can go on and on and on. I love them more than anything in the world. But I've never been to those countries, so I'm more excited about going there. Sure, I'm excited about seeing you and saying hi and giving you a hug again, like we always do. We're family. But James has to go venture off in new territories too. Vampiro's got kind of tired of the blood in the Netherlands. I already done killed everybody there.
I'm gonna try a little French. So let me backtrack here on thought. So what inspired you originally to start this? Because you have an amazing voice, and like I love hearing whenever you're with, like I've heard you a couple of different ones. And what inspired you? Because your style just seems to stand out.
What inspired me to sing, you mean? Or
What was the beginning of it, I guess?
the beginning of it, if you really get realistic, the beginning of it started, according to my mom and my sister and those people that raised, because believe it or not, I'm the baby vampire of the family. The other one's got centuries and centuries over me. And so, yeah, I'm the baby. And in real life, the age difference between me and the next youngest is 11 years. So by the time I was growing up, my sister and brother were already listening to the Beatles and all that stuff. But according to my mom, when the career took off and it didn't surprise them at all. And my dad says, I knew it, and they said, you want to hear something funny? And I said, what? They go, when you started talking in melody right out the gate.
Wow.
Like, yeah, I didn't speak normal. Everything was, mommy, I want this, and, so that's kind of weird. So that's what you had to call her, a natural born singer,
That's awesome.
And the Beatles listening, when my sister and brother were listening to their Beatles records and all that, then I started singing all those. I've been singing all my life, I guess. But I think the thing that really nudged me to the darker side of music is when my first hard rock hero came into my life, which was Alice Cooper. And I think then I started fantasizing more about being on stage and being a singer and getting me a snake. Why not, And then it evolved from Alice Cooper to Black Sabbath. And then the music got heavier and heavier. And then before you knew it, my younger junior high school years had passed. Now I'm in high school, and now there's bands called Judas Priest and UFO and Ronnie James Dio and Rainbow, and then those atmospheric singers is what really nudged me to pick up a microphone and go, yep, this is what I want to do. And it stuck with me. So my first band was 1980, garage band. And we did a bunch of Judas Priest, Black Sabbath covers. But that's how it started. I didn't expect it to lead to, I'm going to have a record one day and I'm going to see the world and all that. It was just for fun, we did backyard parties back then. That was real popular in the early 80s. You got an egg and you charge $2 at the gate for somebody's backyard. And then, of course, until the keg was gone, and then you set up these lights made out of coffee cans and you put on a metal show in somebody's backyard. Yeah.
So how did you get your first contract? Because you said you went from backyards to a record deal. Translate.
What happened is and then of course I went to several. I call those garage bands, and actually Helstar was a garage band as well, but it was the last garage band that became a real band. So from 3 other bands to that, and then once Helstar, I was in Helstar. Our covers, they just got even heavier because now all of a sudden there's this band called Iron Maiden. So so we were so ahead of time because nobody was doing Iron Maiden because most people couldn't, and we were above average musicians. So we were the first band probably doing Iron Maiden covers in 1982, 81, somewhere around there. And we wanted to get into the clubs. There was a big club scene in the 80s. The only problem was that the clubs, it was okay to maybe throw in one of those. Of course, the more commercial Judas Priest, Living After Midnight or something lame like that, but what they wanted was more stuff like Foreigner and Loverboy, and because the chicks like the dance. So our set list was too heavy for the main clubs in Houston if we wanted to get our foot into the door. We did get in once. I remember that, but I remember everybody just being in shock. Like, what is this? It was just too heavy. It was too dark. And the owner of the club, he felt so bad. And he goes, God, you guys are just amazing musicians, but man, you don't fit our format. So I'm going to be right. Unless you change some of your set list, I'd love to book you again, but you'd have to do that. Well, that just angered Larry so much that he said, F that. And he said, we're just going to write our own stuff.
So you were slightly
slightly went from doing over-the-top metal covers to writing our own versions of our own songs. And then before you know it, we had our first demo called Burning Star. And back then, tape trading was a big deal. So somehow your tape would end up over the pond, and you don't even know how. And so this guy in England found that Burning Star demo and handed it to this magazine called Metal Forces, which was the biggest metal magazine in the UK. And then we became #1 for like 3 months straight. And then
Wow.
that tape got recopied, because back then it was easy to make tapes. That's why music got out a lot more easier. Tape trading was a big deal. Cassettes. So that tape made it back to America, and the first record company got it, and they saw all those reviews, and the owner of the company says, "Find them, call them now. I want them." And
Nice.
that's what happened.
awesome.
Very cool. So if you had to give advice for somebody who wanted to get into this, what would it be?
Get a good lawyer. Get a good music attorney. Please do yourself a favor and do that. And keep your day job until if you happen to be one of those miracle bands that gets lucky, and it's all about being at the right place at the right time, and your first record it sells 5 million copies, then I guess you can quit your day job at that point. But I mean, even people like us at the level that we're at, which a lot of people still, especially in Houston, look up to us, and they think that we're like Metallica and all that. They have no idea that we all still work a day job. Luckily for me, I work from home, and I love it. So I have a lot of freedom, and I can take my laptop and I can work while I'm on tour if I want to, and whatever. The other guys are all like these $350,000 a year IT guys. So they make bucos of money. They own houses bigger than, the Woodlands Mall. And they've been with their companies for so long, they have all this vacation time. So they use that to go on tour now. But everybody kind of has a normal life. And there's not one musician that I can think of in a band at our level. Not like Metallica and all those guys. Yeah, they'll never have a day job ever again, But I'm talking even bands like Testament and bands at that level. They're still doing some kind of, and it's mostly IT stuff, because for some reason it goes hand in hand with the good musicianship. I don't know why, especially guitar players. But everybody, or they own their own little small business doing something. But no one is just like, oh, this is it. I'm a rock star and I don't have to do anything. No, it doesn't work that way. Because you make your money, you make good money on tour, especially with your merchandise. The problem is it's not the old days where we can stay on the road for 8 months out of the year. If that was the case, then no, I wouldn't need this day job. But it's not reality no more. If you're lucky, you still might be able to score a 4 to 6 week tour. Well, what's 4 to 6 weeks compared to the rest of the year?
Yeah.
Then what do you do? So I guess the way I started looking at it is the money that I make from my touring goes into my savings, because that's my retirement. And the money that I make from my day job is what keeps a normal income coming in. And so that money now is just extra.
So when you say retirement, I'm assuming you mean from your day job, because I don't really see you ever trying to retire from the metal scene and stuff.
No. I mean, I'll be able to retire from the day job in a couple of years, actually, and be on Social Security, and I can go tour the world wherever I want.
That's awesome.
But, hey, I'm not ashamed to admit that getting to that age already. But you got to think. Common sense would say, if this guy's been at it for 40 something years, he didn't start when he was 5. But that's what I tell everybody.
Right.
Yeah, I always crack that joke, and I go, yeah, in 1980, when I was 5.
Yeah, no. Well, very cool. Lots of good, smart advice. So we appreciate that.
Yeah.
We have about 5 minutes left. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, I really enjoyed this. It was really nice, very low key. Was because a lot of interviews I do, what's really weird is, especially when the records come out, we have the label sets up a lot of interviews. It's a big press thing. So like our new record will come out in July. Starting June, I'll be getting bombarded with interview requests, at least 3 or 4 a week for a month, and they're mostly overseas. So there's a time difference too that kind of makes it a little difficult. But it seems like every writer has the same question. And so you're kind of like going, you know what? I'm just going to record this and go. I know you're asking, so I'm going to push play and I'm going to enjoy a glass of wine. And then when it's all over, you got your interview. Okay?
Just re-record. So, did we ask the question that everyone else asks?
No, actually,
No?
Yeah, okay. We haven't hit it yet.
You got to think that the majority of these people that are doing these interviews, that they're already, this is maybe what, interview number 20.
Mhm.
So they're people that have been in the business forever. And so some of these people I already know right out the gate. Oh, him, Hans again. Yeah, that's going to be good. You know, and so you already know each other. And so, yeah, but they seem to have the same question, you know, that's weird. And I'm like, oh, wow, it's weird.
That's funny. Okay, so what is the question? Now I've got to know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, what is it?
What's that?
What is the question that everyone asks that we didn't ask?
Right, this song.
Oh. There's so many good ones though. It's like I actually considered it, but I couldn't choose because like I love so many of your songs that you've done with different bands too.
Why did you write this song? And why did you title it that way? I'm like, first of all, you didn't read the credits. That song was written by Larry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh my
gosh. But I can tell you because he tells me what he was thinking at the time. The song,
That's funny.
But I can answer that question for you, but I didn't write the song.
Well, I do. One of my favorites is one I know you wrote, and that's Black Wings of Solitude. So
yeah, that's our ballad masterpiece right there, you know. So and
if y'all don't know that song, you should look it up. Seriously, like that's an awesome song.
Yeah, and that's a double meaning song because Larry wrote a little bit of it as well. It's a double meaning song. So
we were thinking that. So okay.
So my meaning is it's about a vampire who falls in love with a mortal, and he loves her too much to transform her. So he basically like, you know, all right, God, I know you and I don't get along, but look, I think I'm ready to call this truce, man. Can we just forgive each other? And can you please make me mortal? Of course, it doesn't happen that way. So kind of a romantic, vampire song. His version of it is about a good friend of ours that passed away from cancer.
Aww.
So it makes sense both ways if you read the lyrics all the way through. So,
I have to re-listen to it now with that in mind. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You did bring up a point though.
To survive.
Do you have a new one coming out, or have you had one recently come out?
Metal Wave just came out with an album.
The most recent thing that came out was the Metal Wave CD, which that was released 2 months ago or 3 months ago now.
That's what I thought. I thought there was one.
Yeah, that was the latest thing. Our first new single that we've already worked on the studio. I'm already pretty much done with the vocals. Just got to go back and fix some things that I wasn't happy with. That's going to be our first single that they're shooting to release in May 2004 to start building up for the new record. And having a single out is what makes the booking agent happy because he goes, good, we have at least something new. We can solidify the shows just around that now because they want something out new when you go do a tour. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like, what are you going to tour for if you haven't had an album out in 5 years? You know, of course, there are bands like Journey and some of those bands that should stop writing new records and just go with the songs that everybody likes. Your new albums aren't cutting it, buddy, you know? So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate you. We know your time is valuable, and the Bats probably want your attention back. As we know, you're going to be at Terror Fest on Saturday.
Saturday and Sunday.
Beautiful.
Saturday and Sunday.
All day.
Yep. So make sure to go to Terror Fest this weekend in Conroe, Texas, if you're around that area. If you want to learn more about James Rivera and Vampiro, you can find them at facebook.com. There are 3 profiles. There's jamesrivera.helstar.
Yeah.
There's helstar.metal.
Yeah.
And then the other one is, I'm waiting for it to scroll across, Dark Wave Heavy Metal, all one word.
Yeah.
So make sure to check them out. Thank you again so much. You've been a treat to have.
So much. I really appreciate you joining us, James. And I definitely am looking forward to Terror Fest this weekend and getting to see you again. If you guys are going to be at Terra Fest, definitely say hi to James Rivera, obviously, and Yukita and I will also be there all. Well, Yukita will be there Saturday, and I'll be there all weekend long. So.
Yeah, and he's setting me setting up Supernaut with a booth, so we'll be there like all day, So right, so I guess we'll be there maybe noon, 2 o'clock, somewhere around there. Then we'll just be there for the whole day.
Right. Make sure to drop by, say hi, and until next time,
you bet.
Mischief managed. Bye.
Bye.